Hi, I'm Kyle Pennypacker and welcome back to Penny Prepper. Today's video, we're going to be discussing the top 10 beginner prepper mistakes. Before we get started today, I'm going to ask that you hit the like button, subscribe, share the video with anybody that you think might like it as well. It really does help out a lot, me being a newer channel. Stay tuned. A lot of people, when they get into prepping, they don't know what they're doing. I know that was the same for me. A lot of times when people get into it, they watch a couple videos, or maybe they talk with somebody, or maybe they just watch Doomsday Preppers, the TV series, and get an idea of what they're looking for, and then they just start going right out of the gate. There's a lot more to it, and I'm going to discuss the top 10 beginner mistakes right now. Alright, the number one mistake that most new preppers make is not planning for the most likely scenario, or putting preps into one specific scenario only. So, for instance, if you live in Florida, you're going to most likely have a hurricane come through your area. If you live in California, most likely there's going to be an earthquake. It's just a simple matter of fact. A lot of people in those areas may just prep for one of those scenarios, but you also have to take into consideration there is a vast majority of multiple different scenarios that you could possibly face. So, not just putting all your eggs in one basket is ideal. Preparing for power outages, or learning how to filter water, stuff like that. You need to really make a spectrum of your preparedness. Number two is going to be one that I see a lot of people doing, because a lot of people romanticize the idea of bugging out. Whenever SHTF or your worst case scenario comes to fruition, most people think, oh, I'm going to throw on my pack, go to the mountains, and I'm going to live out there in the wilderness. Well, chances are bugging in is going to be your best option no matter what the scenario is. So take that into consideration. Have a bug out bag. I'm not saying don't have a bug out bag, don't have an inch bag. You should. I'm saying that shouldn't be your only consideration. Number three is going to be one that is a no-brainer, but still needs to be said. Not getting in the proper mentality to face your emergency. So for instance, if you only prepare for a power outage and not necessarily trying to figure out how to evacuate your home, or another scenario, let's say that instead of a power outage there is a tornado that comes through your area and you're not ready to deal with that, you're probably going to panic where you should have prepared. So preparedness over panic. Also with that, preparing for the least likely scenarios is also a great idea. Maybe seeing what other areas are experiencing and trying to utilize the response that you see those other areas taking for that scenario and developing it for your area and for yourself. Number four is going to be not practicing. You need to practice and better your skills every time. You need to practice, fail, learn, improve, and repeat. That goes for just about anything in your life. You're not going to be a bushcraft genius right out the gate. You might not know all your knots, but the more that you learn them, and especially when you fail, I always seem to see that that makes you better because you learn another way not to do it. Failure in the preparedness stage is not only essential, but it's going to happen. You might as well get used to that now. It's better to sweat in practice than bleed in combat. It's one of those things where you want to fail while you're getting ready for something, not during the event. Number five is going to be falling for gimmicks and pre-made kits. If you go on Amazon right now and you type in Bugout, emergency preparedness, or prepper, you're going to see a lot of pre-made kits and survival bags, stuff like that. A lot of those kits or bags are made of very low quality, all-in-one, multi-use type of materials. You're probably going to find some Ninja card, I believe is one of the brands, or basically small pieces of metal that you can slide right into your wallet, and has a bottle opener, has hex screw holes, all sorts of stuff. But honestly, if you were to go out in the wilderness, I'd rather have a Swiss Army knife than that, plus whatever else is in that bag, because chances are most of it's junk and it's going to fail you. Number six is going to be only planning for short-term versus self-reliance. So a great example of that is the saying, give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. Teach a man to fish, and he'll continue to eat. Basically, that's off the premise of, yeah, you might have 100 pounds worth of rice in your basement or wherever you store your stuff, but that's only going to last you so long. Learning how to garden, learning how to dig a well, stuff like that. Those are things that you can learn how to do. You don't need to actually do it until it's time, but granted, it is great to practice, as I always say. However, getting those skills and learning how to be self-reliant is way more important than waiting to see how long your food reserves last. Number 7 is actually one of my favorite sayings to use. I always like to say that overkill is underrated. Also, there's another thing that people say, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Basically, combining those two, if you really think about it, if you have one way to illuminate a path at night, let's say all you have is one flashlight. Well, that's great, but what if the batteries go dead or there's an issue with it? Well, now you went from being able to see there's no chance at all, compared to, hey, I have a backup. I have a keychain flashlight. You utilize that. It might not be the best thing, but it's better than nothing. So 2 is 1, 1 is none, and you can never have too much stuff. Obviously, if you're putting it in a backpack, yes, you can have too much stuff because of weight. But we're talking in terms of having a backup for the backup for the backup. If you have the ability to have a multi-tool that has a small flashlight, something like that, it's great to utilize that extra space for something that can help you out a lot. Number 8, that's going to be stop learning. I'm going to say, when I say that, I don't mean you need to stop learning. I mean, when people stop learning things, that's when they feel as though they've learned everything that there is to know, and then they start bragging. I would say, first of all, don't brag about your preps. If you can help it, don't really go out on a public forum and show people your specific preps. I do this more as a way to encourage me to get out there, do more, network. But if you have 100 pounds of rice in a bunker somewhere, I would highly suggest, why would you show people that? It doesn't really do you any good unless they're like-minded. All that does is, if there were to be an emergency, where's the first place people are going to come? To the safety of your bunker. What you really need to do is just be humble in your preps, in your emergency preparedness. Try to help people, but also don't go out of the way to expose yourself as being overly prepared, because when people see that, they may turn around and say, hey, he has stuff that I need. All right, number 9 is probably one of the most important, but I'm going to have to say fitness. You really need to prioritize fitness because it's something that you can always improve on. It is free to do, and also, how far do you think you're going to get into the mountains if you can't walk 100 feet? That's something that you can always improve upon. Even if you're a world star athlete, it's something that you can still improve upon and or maintain, and it's something that you always need to have at the height, at the top of your list of things that you need to improve on. Last one, at number 10, I'm going to say networking and communication. I combine those two in a way because a lot of people don't think about communication, having walkie-talkies. Other ways to talk with your family, maybe have rendezvous points in case something were to happen in your area and you need to get out and then meet up with the rest of your family. Whether it's walkie-talkies, ham radio, CB radio, or even if you learn how to use Morse code and or smoke signals. That should be something that you learn how to do. My call to action for you for this video is going to be, try to pick one of these top 10 categories and think about which one you are the least capable in. And then what you want to do is try to focus on that category, improve upon it, and then once you feel as though you're pretty capable at it, move on to the next least capable of the categories and improve upon that. And eventually, as you rotate through, keep coming back to them and improving. Alright, that's all I have for today's video. If there's anything you would like to see in the upcoming videos, please comment and let me know. Stay safe, stay prepared.